Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This Shabbos we will be reading the Torah portion of Pekudei, the accounting of the items in the Mishkan, and it will also be the conclusion, Chazak, it will also be the conclusion of the book of Shmos. Now, Eila Pekudei Mishkan means this is the accounting of everything which was contributed to the Mishkan and how it was used. And it's apropos, of course, this is our first shir, which is Lilui Nishmas Chana Bas Silka, Bas David. And we know that the Rebbe had always mentioned that after the passing of a loved one, that it is appropriate, of course, the verse, V'achai yitenas el liboy, that those who survive, that the living, that they have to take these events to heart, that in the simplest terminology, they have to make an accounting of what's going on. And it would appear that this idea of cheshbon hanefesh, making a self-accounting of oneself, where are we up to, what are we doing, what is good, what is not good, is a very fundamental idea of Judaism. We find that in many occasions, certainly in the prelude to the high holidays, we find that, and today is also appropriate because today is also Erev Rosh Chodesh. And we know that Erev Rosh Chodesh, before Rosh Chodesh, is considered Yom Kippur Katan, it's a mini Yom Kippur. Some people, there was a custom to fast today, and certainly an appropriate day to reflect, of self-reflection. Birthdays, we talk about self-reflection. And this would appear to be a very important aspect of Judaism and a very important component of personal growth. On the other hand, we remember and we know the famous story with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and the Chassidic interpretation of that. We know that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that he was the leader of the Jewish people during the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash, and in other words, a true giant of Judaism. And on his deathbed at 120, so he tells his students, he says, Yesh lefanai shnei drachim, before me there are two paths. The implication is one going to heaven and one not. Ve'eini yodea be'ezeh derech molichan I see. And I don't know which path will I be led on. And Chassidus, of course, asks the question, how is that possible? Such a great Torah leader, such a great leader of the Jewish people, that he shouldn't know that he's definitely going to go to heaven. It is a difficult statement. And remember, Judaism rejects false humility. This is the Yiddish expression for this is a shin with drei keplach. We know that a shin has three arms to it, and so it almost stands for three shins. What is a shin with drei keplach? It is shifla shel sheker. False humility in Chassidic circles is probably rejected even more than arrogance. Arrogance, at least one knows that it's a character flaw, and therefore it's there to be worked on. Shifla shel sheker, where the person actually thinks that they are doing the right thing, is a much more insidious character flaw. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he's telling his students, Eini yodea be'ezeh derech molichan asi, I don't know on what path I am being led in the world to come. It is impossible for us to say that somehow this was a misplaced or a false humility. And certainly, in other words, if the time for honesty, a person is on their deathbed, that is the ultimate time for honesty. So how does Chassidus answer this question? It says that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was totally preoccupied with discharging his mission of being a Torah student, of being a Torah teacher, of being the leader of the Jewish people. Every single minute was preoccupied with achieving that task, and he was not thinking about himself. In other words, in America nowadays, people are always very much encouraged to think about themselves, what's doing with them, where are they up to, and he was just focused on achieving and accomplishing. And only it came to the end of his lifespan in this world, when that is the time, and not now, that he starts to think, and all of a sudden there's too much to process in the few remaining moments. In other words, he knows he did a lot of good things, but did he err in certain things? Did he live up to the potentials which Hashem had given him? Almost like Moshe Rabbeinu's humility, that if Hashem would have given someone else these capabilities, they could have used them even better. And this is the reason why he was unsure as to what his future was in store. So here, on the other hand, we seem to be showing that as an example and so forth, of not thinking, not making a self-accounting, just doing. And so how do we reconcile, in other words, this message which Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai teaches us about an exclusive focus on the service to Hashem, with the counter idea that a cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of the soul, Eilu Pekudei HaMishkan, making an accounting of the Mishkan, is essential for our success as a Jewish person? And the answer perhaps is in the words Eilu Pekudei HaMishkan itself. It says this is the accounting of what? Not of the people. We are making accounting of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the vehicle to bring down Hashem's presence in the world. The ultimate task, the ultimate goal of all Yiddishkeit is to create a Mishkan in this world. So we are not doing an accounting, how am I doing? That's not what the accounting is about. The accounting is about how is the Mishkan doing? How is Hashem's agenda moving forward? Is there still more to be done? Is there areas of deficiency? Are there areas which we've already succeeded in, which we can build upon? So this is the difference between the subjective person who is doing the task and the objective reality of the task itself. If there is no accounting, then we're working in chaos. We could be running around in circles for all we know. We're running around in circles and not achieving anything. So of course, it is essential in order to grow in and to correctly build our service of Hashem that an accounting must be made. But the focus of this accounting should always be, how is the task? How is Hashem's agenda being achieved? Am I making the Mishkan? Is the Mishkan being built, or is the Mishkan not being built? Is Hashem a home, finding a home here in this world and within me, or is that not happening? And the moment we shift the focus of this accounting from the self to the task, we are going to find that is going to be the most efficient. First of all, there will be less the cloudiness of subjectivity and self-bias, which always gets involved when we're thinking about ourselves. We're talking about objective standards, not about our subjective feelings. Second of all, we will obviate the problem that sometimes when we make a cheshbon hanefesh, as much as we try to be upbeat about it and optimistic about it, and we know the previous Rebbe told us that a balance sheet, you have to have the assets and the liabilities on the balance sheet, but a lot of times a cheshbon hanefesh can leave us disheartened, God forbid. And if it leaves us disheartened, then that of course is the ultimate prelude to failure. And so this is the takeaway from Eilu Pekudei HaMishkan, that we have to, yes, of course we have to make evaluations and assessment, but that evaluation and the assessment is not so much how am I doing, but how is the Mishkan doing? How is Hashem's agenda doing? And then we can merit to successfully, at the end of the Parshas, it says that even though that the Mishkan was with the intense revelation of Hashem, was in the Mishkan to the extent that even Moshe Rabbeinu could not enter into the Mishkan, it says then the concluding verse says Bahalos Ha'anan, because when the Jewish people had to travel further, so the Anan would depart from the Mishkan and move to a new destination, so too should it be for ourselves, that even though, as Chassidic expression is, a good is good, that good is of course good, but we have to know that we are good, but that still is besser nish besser, but that there is still room always for things to be better, because how could that be that there's room for it to be better? If we're a human being, so we're limited. Maybe there isn't. But none of us are just human beings. We are also godly beings. We have within our soul the infinite and omnipotent powers of Hashem. And because of that, not because of our humanity, but because of our divinity, we always have the ability to grow and to move higher. And this Parsha gives us the strength with that, with Chazak, that we should be successful.
Thank you.
If there's any questions?